landlocked in an ashram in Kerala, and beautiful experience, and also very challenging because the campus is small and everyone gets locked into that place and you can't leave. So we do this Ayurvedic treatment where they encourage no talking, technology detox, and they're continuously putting Ayurvedic herbs through the skin, through your nostrils, and all the other exits in the body, whichever way they can to put more herbs into your body to try and cleanse it. So that was a nice 2 week uh, experience. And while going through this Panchakarma treatments, I got to do writing a lot, meditation and prayers, and deep thoughts were also a part of the menu on the mind. So one of the things that I was thinking of how uh, I felt for a first 3 days, I felt like I was in a jail cell because they give you a room and they control the portions of your meal and what you're going to eat and how much you're going to eat. And then they just keep putting more and more meds into your body, and they just put this oil on your body all day. You have this herbal oil on your body. So it's a very interesting experience, to say the least. And the biggest thing that I came through from that experience is how the mind is so restless when there is certain restrictions put on it. So much so, we were not allowed to talk, but because there were Americans and Europeans, and it's hard to, keep the Americans quiet. We're not known to be quiet people. And even the Europeans that were there, the British and the Belgium people, there are no Dutch, just a Belgium couple. It was hard to keep them quiet as well because, there was so much happening inside that everybody wanted to share. So we would sneakingly break the rules, you know. There were signs saying, please silence, and we were trying to catch up with one another, trying to somehow stay connected because that's how the mind is, needs connection. And one of the common thread in those discussions is how we were all feeling like victims. Like we actually paid to be victimized and be subjected to being locked up in this campus. You can't leave, and you're locked in a room, and food control, sound control, portion control. It's very interesting. And so this continuous thought in my mind that we are victims, and some of them are like really angry about it. One of them said, I'm gonna give them such a bad rating that no one will ever come here. So everyone had their own reasons to express, and it to such an extent of like almost, I want to see this place shut down. Like I'm going to give such bad reviews that no one will ever come here again. And we started to have this whole debate and discussion over it. It was very interesting. I thought it was a very interesting experience. So this is why, one of the reasons I picked this topic, how to shift from the victim mindset. And in order to do that, I think one of the things that we first have to study is, what is a victim mentality? In order for us to know how to shift from the victim mindset, we have to know, what is a victim? Who is a victim? How does one become a victim? And who is the perpetrator? who's causing all this agony and pain in our lives? So, these are my thoughts on this particular topic. And of course, everything I share, it'll be based off of the yoga texts that we have studied and will continue to also study. So, the mindset, the victim mindset, there's two words that I want to break it down. One is the victim. Victim is someone who feels that there is an injustice, something does not make sense. And because you can all hear me, right? Can you all hear me? Just want to make sure. Radha, was there something you couldn't hear?
No, I hear you. Sorry, it's my own speakers I'm struggling with.
Okay.
You're good.
So this victim is someone who feels that something was done to them, something happened in their life, it was beyond their control, and they had no control over it, and they feel it was unjust, it was unfair. I remember we had some tears, Vani, Ashishji, and myself, and Vaniji was so heartbroken to see the widows in Vrindavan. Vani's heart just like completely cracked open when she saw the suffering of others, and I was admiring her softness, because only someone whose heart is soft can actually feel the suffering and the pain of others and empathize with it at such a deep level. So she was crying, and Ashishji was trying to console her, but he was also trying to tear up. And I was like, I shouldn't be sitting here and just, a bunch of adults sitting here and crying as a group. That would look kind of funny. So I got a little, I had to be a little bit on the intelligent side. I said, I'm going to try and hold myself strong. And one of the things Vani said, that it was just very unfair. So this emotion that things are unfair, and everything that happens in our lives is someone else's doing, and I shouldn't be having to go through all of these difficulties. It's not my fault. It's someone else is causing all of this. So this mindset is the victim. That means someone who's not ready to take any responsibility for anything that is happening in our lives, and we are looking to see if there is someone else in this world we can point that energy towards. So this is what a victim is. And mindset is when the mind is set on this concept. Because the mind also fluctuates, and it has its own way of setting its boundaries and its standards and its metrics for what it can and cannot cope with. So this is what the victim mindset is. These two words, to me, I thought it was very interesting, because the victimhood is a mindset. And so how is that a mindset, and how does that work? Because someone who has this victim mindset, it blames all the circumstances in life. It looks at every circumstance that does not go in its favor. Then it'll find someone else to be held accountable for. For example, I don't have money, I'm not wealthy. And strictly because my parents were poor. And that's why I'm poor. Or, I did not get an education because my parents didn't have an education. That's why I'm poor. my relationship didn't work is because, she was just not the best person, or he was just such a jerk. And we will constantly shift every situation and circumstance in our lives, will shift towards the energy we want to shift it towards someone else. And that is strictly because this victimhood mindset, it is something that has been programmed in our mind. So all the circumstances in our lives, we find somebody to blame, and somebody else is accountable. Someone else is responsible for it, and it is not me. I would have been great without this relationship. I would have been great if I had this, if I could have had that, if I had it this way. And if someone else is successful, then what do we say? It's only because they have rich parents. It's only because they did this. It's only because of that. It's only because of. So we constantly try not to hold ourselves responsible. If someone else holds themselves responsible, we want to take that responsibility away from them and give it to someone else. So this is the mindset of a victim. And it is very sad because we are walking away from holding ourselves responsible. Now, where does this come from? Because this is not something that we just one day just come up with it. It's actually something, sometimes it's hereditary. When our children, say for example, a child wants to open uh, a toy or a sophisticated gadget, what do we say? Hold on, hold on, hold on. You know, let me show you how to do it. Or let me figure it out for you. As soon as we have this kind of exchange with our children, what we are doing is we're allowing them, we're disempowering them and taking the power away from them because we don't feel confident in ourselves and the trust that we can place on the children. So this incompetency is something that we place it on the kids at a very young age. So it's someone else. Even if it is a simple thing like crossing a street, you can't do it. Something can happen to you. A typical thing when I grew up in the ashram, they would not allow us to go out of the campus. Never. And one of the reasons were like, what if something happens to you? And I would say, what could go wrong? Well, you could trip and you could fall and you could break your arms. What if the mosquitoes bit you? What if there was this? I mean, like every possible excuse to tell me how the world is so bad and how the world is so rough and that I am not capable to face the world. So this is one of the ways that in the world we disempower and teach them this victim mindset that we are somewhat incapable, incompetent, instead of saying, yes, you know, you can go ahead and do that and just watch out for this and this thing, this could, but to empower the kids. So this mindset sometimes is hereditary, sometimes is programmed into the kids, but this is what happens. And then when we're not successful in life, we're not successful because it's all because of Radha. You know, it's just because, I was her friend in college and, she just wasn't very studious. And so that's why, you know, I wasn't successful. When I'm not motivated because, the world is not nice to me. The world is unkind. Look at it, everyone's so mean to me. And in this way, we continuously find someone else and something else, some society, some circumstances. You don't even know what I went through. Do you know the cult that I was in? So we have to find someone, some institution, some circumstances to dump the responsibility on. And all our problems and our failures, someone else is responsible for. It has nothing to do with me. And so what happens is that when we have this victim mindset, we are actually disempowering ourselves because we have literally, subconsciously and consciously removed all the power and responsibility from our lives. And this is what this victim mindset is. I was told, I don't know the name of the teacher now, it's been a while. He told me that, you have to be this person that life happens for you and life doesn't happen to you, because if you're lazy, then life will happen to you and it will not happen for you. So you have to become a better person so that life will happen for you. And I remember in my life, and I'm realizing this, it's not about life happening to you or for you. The practice of bhakti is how to make life happen with you. That means you're not alone in life, but there is a companion in life that is going with you, and you're never alone. So this is something that I remember. It's such an important point that I just suddenly remembered as we were discussing this point. Lazy people, life happens to you. Intelligent people, life happens for you. But bhakti people, life happens with you because you're going on a journey together. And I remember also the practice of bhakti is tremendous emphasis on responsibility. Like, what is my responsibility? How do I take responsibility for myself, for my actions? How do I show up for myself? And this is the process of Vedanta, the self-inquiry process. We have to ask ourselves this question. How and when do we show up for ourselves? When we fail in life, what does that mean? Because when we fail in life, sometimes we think that, we beat ourselves down. And literally, failure in life is literally material nature telling you and giving you some feedback. And how are we able to accept that feedback? When something doesn't go our way, we just think, oh, I'm total failure. I can't do this. And we just drop it and we don't try it again. I know someone messaged me saying, Veda, it's this sadhana every day to show up for myself is a little too much. And I said, why is that? He said, because there are days I just can't do it. I just fail. And I said, that's fantastic. Please keep failing and just keep trying again, because once you realize why you failed and how important it is for you to show up for yourself, all of this will start to make more sense. So anyway, we have had this discussion. So I wanted to give us 4 points on how to address this victim mindset. Now that we understood the victim mindset, now how do we address this issue? Because we spend a lot of time discussing secretly in this Ayurveda ashram, so I wanted to share. So it explains in the yoga principle. The first principle of killing this, not killing it, but dealing with this victim mindset is to really come with grips of acknowledging what is truly happening with us in our lives. And one of those foremost acknowledgement principles is understand there is something called existential suffering. That as long as we live in this material world, whether you like it or not, you are going to be victimized. Your mind and your body and your intelligence will be subjected to suffering. Your existence is never going to be pain-free. You'll have the emotional pains. You'll have many needs in your life that's not going to be met. You'll be given so many expectations as a child, and those may not all come through. So this principle of understanding there is an existential suffering in our lives. It gives you, okay, there's going to be pain coming my way. Now, how do I cope and deal with it? The second point in this acknowledgement category is understanding that the suffering and pain, they're going to come and they're going to go, like the winter and summer seasons, as it is explained in the Gita, second chapter. That happiness and distress in this world are like winter and summer seasons. They come and they go. And they arise from sense perception. It is a perception. And attachment to that suffering, because you'll be surprised to know that many of us may actually become attached to pain and suffering. When we are in an abusive relationship, it is hard for us to leave because we become attached to that abusive relationship. So we become attached to our wounds and we carry it like a badge, you know? So to acknowledge all of these things is very, very important, because once you acknowledge it, then there is a way to get out of it. So first level, the first process that is given is the principle of acknowledgement, and within acknowledgement there is existential suffering and attachment to suffering. And point two, second step of how to deal with this is, does anyone have the time? Am I on the right time? How much time do we have?
23 minutes.
Okay, I better hurry up. Okay, cool. So the second point is to take your power back. So empowering yourself. And the way to take power back is to take responsibility for your actions. Everything in this world that happens to us or through us or with us, there is some contribution that we have made to it. So to take responsibility and to claim your involvement in engaging with the material world. Because as long as we engage with this material world, with matter, disassociated from spiritual relationship, there is an element of karma that gets activated. Karma in this world is only activated when we connect with this world disassociated from a spiritual cause or the divine. Otherwise, karma does not get activated. So, to take responsibility for whatever happens in our life, that we have something, maybe we don't remember, maybe it's not this life, but somewhere, something I must have contributed for this. And taking responsibility, number two. And number two is practicing self-compassion. Because when we take responsibility, sometimes we can be very hard on ourselves. Yeah, it's all my fault. I take full responsibility for it. No, responsibility has to be taken with compassion. Like to understand that human beings, one of the flaws, there's 4 flaws, and one of the flaws in human beings is that we're going to make mistakes. And to accept that. not be attached to it, but an acceptance of the fact. Okay? So number 3 is cultivate awareness. And that is done through authentic connection. And one of the best ways that is recommended by the sages is to practice being present, mindfulness. Sometimes mindfulness is difficult to understand what it is and how it is. And mindfulness is a consciousness of being in the present. For example, when you're going on a date, you're supposed to meet someone. What happens? You've been talking to this person for months and months and months, and you're about to meet them on a date. You will make sure that you prepare for that day and for that hour with minute details. Make sure your hair is right. Make sure your pedicure, manicure is right. Wear the right matching clothes, the right matching shoes, the ties, the cologne, and then, the right rings, the right jewelry, and you'll just make sure everything is so perfect. Before you walk out of the room, you'll look at yourself in the mirror 10 times to make sure everything suits right, feels right. So this consciousness of absolute clarity about all your actions, this is mindfulness. That means life is happening. How to understand that each and every aspect of life is not running on autopilot, that it is happening consciously. Why am I eating? What am I eating? Why am I up at midnight, scrolling through Instagram and Facebook, looking at other people's pictures and videos and Instagram feeds and Facebook feeds? Just simple asking questions to the self and putting yourself back on the right track. Okay, and then the second point is relationships. That we must build healthy relationships. If we don't have healthy relationships, people around you will actually feed you. Yes, the world was very unkind to you. The world sucks and blah, 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 blah. Imagine you had healthy friendships and healthy circle of friends, what we call Sangha. What do? They will listen to you. They will understand you. They will have sympathy for you. They will fully feel you. They will have compassion for you. And they will say, hey, Linda, why don't you come to my house and let us do kirtan together or read the Gita together? What are we doing? What we have gone together, that association, from being bitter about everything and everyone in life, we just get together and we lift the consciousness up. And that's what this relationship means, that we need to have healthy relationships. That means there's satsang. I arrived in Mayapur, and the first thing I did, I came in and I saw a friend of mine. He's like, hey, Veda, come over. And there I am, sitting with him, eating a nice meal together. What do? We get together and we start reading. We start reading. He says, I want to tell you what I've been reading. So he starts pulling out the book. Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about spiritual vibrations of Krishna's flute. And the whole hour and a half that I sat with him, we talked about how Krishna's vibration in his heart was coming out through the flute, and that vibration was touching the animals and all the residents of Vrindavan and making them feel so loved. So consciousness gets lifted up. So this is another very important principle. Okay, the fourth principle in dealing with this is finding meaning in life and your mission in life. When you find meaning and mission in life, what happens is that everything in this life that you find you want to give responsibility to someone else and disempower yourself and give everybody else the power, you actually take the bull by the horn and you hold on to that power. And that, one of the ways that the sages explain is through the process of writing and journaling. Very, very powerful. That we must actually take the time to write our story. As I was mentioning to you, life has many, many circumstances and situations. But what is the story that we tell ourselves? Life, so many things will happen. But what is the story that we tell ourselves? And the story that we tell ourselves is what determines our reality. And that victim mindset is that's the negative story we tell ourselves. I'm not worthy, this guy's responsible. So that story, then when you sit and you write, then what will happen is that the truth will actually come out. You're not going to sit there and write how I blame this person, that person. You're actually going to become a little bit more quiet, because the mind, when as soon as you start inculcating the other sensory faculties in the process of healing, the mind starts to calm down. And one great sage named Bhaktivinoda Thakur, such a prolific writer, he would sleep 2 hours in 24-hour cycles, and he would write. And he would always write about the amazing blessings that he had in his life. And through those writings, he got deeper and deeper and deeper into his heart. It is not through talking and talking and talking, but it is through sitting down with oneself and actually documenting one's journey of life. And very important part of that, in that journey of life, you're never alone. And who is that permanent, eternal companion that goes on this journey with you? That's why he writes in one of this beautiful poetry, he says, Ami bina bandhu ara kya chetoma. He said, I am that friend that never leaves you. I'm your eternal, permanent companion. It's just that you haven't acknowledged me yet. But I sit in your heart with you, and I'm constantly acknowledging and reciprocating with you. And I'm just waiting for you to just give me a little attention. And this is what this journaling is all about. Seeing how we have this deep meaning in life, this deep mission in life, and that mission is our divine connection with God and service to humanity, to God's children. And through this mission, you will start to find that in this life that you have a unique purpose. And all the suffering that we endure in this life, all the victimization that we go through in this life, it is simply to bring us more closer and closer to our purpose in life. So there is no suffering, because it is simply a stepping stone for us to find our divine purpose in this world. And this is what the sages are saying. So if we continue uh, realizing, acknowledging, and going through this process, then maybe we'll be able to stop blaming others, and we'll be able to really truly find ourselves, so we're no longer lost. So thank you so much, all you beautiful souls. Okay, are we out of time? Do you know? I have 10 minutes. Okay, I'm not good with time, so thank you. Anybody would like to share anything, add or subtract, or have any questions or comments? Anyone feeling shy about it? Oh, I did want to mention that today we are celebrating the 2 birthdays. Uh, Is Maria here? No. Ina here? No. Okay, neither of them are here. But we have, is Daisy, are you here? We have birthday babies. Okay, if there is no questions, then anybody would like to add anything?
I would like to add something. Thank you
Please.
very much, Veda, for the conversation about victimhood. I'm leaving with two things, is that we definitely have choice. Like if we decide to remain in victimhood, then we can. But as you're offering a pathway out by developing a healthy mindset or directing our attention to the elevated ideas of spirit, there's no victimhood there. And as you were mentioning, the eternal companion stays with us always. And when we are ready to take our power back by remembering who we are, then we can shift from victimhood to creator. So I definitely am walking away with that today. And then when you said take the bull by the horn, I was reminded that when we were in India, the bull came up and challenged you a bit. And you said no, because it was trying to charge you. And you said, don't do that. And then it said, I'm going to do it. And you took the bull by the horns and wrestled with him until he got tired and decided no. And so I was thinking about how life is so similar in the way that it challenges us. And we say, no, 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 I don't want to deal with that. It's like, oh, you're going to deal with that. But the proper mindset established early from your childhood when you used to wrestle with the bulls kicked in and you were able to overcome. So I just was thinking about that in a humorous way, but deeply appreciating the conversation on overcoming victimhood. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, I find it so much fun. The bulls come and we just run because they're bigger and they have horns. They just want something, they want some love and they just want some food, you know. Sometimes the teenage bulls are a little notorious, but it's all fun. So yeah, I remember doing that. I didn't notice that you were watching me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. Anybody else would like to add anything?
I'd like to add
Yes,
to. Oh, go ahead.
no, I would like to say this is so powerful. Thank you so much, Vedaji. But my biggest question is, before acknowledgement, how will they understand that there is a problem? I mean, the process has to be like understanding that I myself have a problem, so I can acknowledge that the problems.
Hmm. Hmm. Uh, Interesting question, if I fully understood, is that everyone is victimized in this world, whether we like it or not. Everyone is a victim in this world. Because when the hurricanes come, uh, you're gonna get hit. It's not gonna select, it's not gonna skip your house. If you're on the way, birth, old age, disease, they're not selective. And they just come. I don't think anyone can prevent being old and the bone starts to get brittle. There's a beautiful prayer by one of the sages is talking about Satasandhi Jarjaram, which means there's hundreds of different joints in the body and they all, oh, look at that. We saw Carmen's beautiful angel there. Yeah, so, oh, there he is the man. Thank you for introducing the family, Carmen. So, the little kid stole my attention, full attention. So what was I saying? I'm happy she stole it. So what was I saying?
Everybody
You
in
were
this world
saying
is
about
victimized.
Yes,
victimizing. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Everyone in this world are going to be victimized, whether we like it or not. We are going to get old. We are going to get disease. And it's beyond our control. But how do we approach all of this victimization? Where is all this felt? And this is what Bhagavad Gita comes very handy, where it explains that the suffering in this world is just part of being in this world. You can't go into the snow and pretend like you're not going to get cold. You can't stand in the sun and pretend like, no, the sunlight isn't going to get me. So being in the mature world, we're going to be subjected to being victimized, but how do we receive that? How do we receive all the suffering that is coming to us? There's a beautiful prayer by Queen Kunti. She is this incredible, resilient queen. Her husband dies, and she is a single mom to 5 kids. Imagine, 5 boys. She's raising 5 kids by herself. Her kids, the palace that they were living in gets burned to the ground because they had so many people that didn't like them, just because they're envious. They were poisoned. They were humiliated. They were banished to the forest. They were dethroned from their kingdom. They were born as royal prince. They conquered the earth, but yet they didn't have a place to sleep. They were living under trees and thatched cottages. All of that. And the mother, seeing her children suffer. One thing is the children are suffering, and the mother standing and watching the children suffer through all of that. And her heart is breaking open helplessly to see 5 of her powerful prince children subjugated to so much victimization. And what does she pray? She says, "My dear Lord, please, you're so kind. Please give me more suffering and more pain." Because in every one of those suffering and pain circumstances, I saw nothing but a path that you were creating for me to come closer and closer to you. My relationship with you, you were more present in my life during those struggles than when we have this whole kingdom now we're ruling over the earth. I would rather have that. This is how a saintly queen is addressing this problem of victimhood. She doesn't feel victimized. She's feeling the love of God in her life through her struggles. I mean, it's insane. When I studied these things in the yoga text, I was like, this lady should have get her head checked or something. Something is not right here. But when you keep reading and you studying it, and you realize how beautiful it is that she was able to find God in the most difficult situations in her life. And that she prefers that than to live in a mansion ruling over the world. So, Siddha, beautiful question. So we have to really try to see if we can see divine hand in all our circumstances in life. And when we see that, your consciousness is moving up. It's moving up. Does anybody want to add
Thank
anything?
you very much. Thank you very much, Vedaji.
Thank
I
you.
got it.
Does anybody else want to add anything to it? Yes, Ashishji.
Hello, namaste, Vedaji. I didn't know that you were wearing glass. You wear glasses.
It's funny because I can't see you. You're quite blurry. So I thought,
Same thing with me. That's why I also wore my glasses. So, I mean, I beg to differ here, Vedaji,
please, please.
about the victimization part. I mean, I feel, right, this is how the nature is, right? If you go and stand in the sun, like you were saying, and you're getting burned, you cannot call it victimization. That is the choice that you have made. And if you feel like you should not be suffering, you should go and stand in the shade. You cannot blame nature for saying that, okay, an individual is, I'm victimized, because, we came into the world, we don't know how we came, but we are here. And nature has brought us here. And if we blame something
That's what
on
he's been
someone
saying.
else, like if you are suffering and if you are blaming someone else, that is the word, that is the time when you say it is victimization. But
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's what he was saying, that that's not how it.
I'm
So
so
it came a
happy.
little late.
I'm so happy you disagree with me, but I agree with your disagreement.
Yes. Yes.
Because the reason I agree with your disagreement is because I think it's so beautiful. We chose to come to this material world. We chose this suffering. We decided to reincarnate into this world. And so,
did we?
because that's what the laws of nature says. We chose to come into this world. God never subjugates and throws people unless it's asked for. That's where the free will is exercised. That's what the yoga texts are saying, the Vedas are saying. And so therefore, what you're saying to me makes sense. Yes, we chose to come here. So if we come to this material world, we have to know that there is certain laws that govern this world. Birth, old age, disease, and death is some of the highlights of our existence in this material world.
Yeah, I want to add to what the question and what you said, Vedaji. So when I heard asking how do I acknowledge that this is pain coming to me, so the way I understand is, Ashish said, if I go and stand under the sun, and I cannot blame because I chose to stand under the sun. So the same sun, someone experiences the sun as a tanning experience and they choose to go and stand under the sun, whereas I would choose not to go and stand under the sun. So the experience, the incident is the same, but how each one experiences it could be different.
Amazing. Beautiful.
So, and how do I acknowledge that this is pain for me is if it is not in favor of what I would expect of that situation, that I acknowledge as pain. And that is where I make a choice to either how to address that situation and whether I choose to suffer out of pain or not. So pain is a situation, whereas suffering is a choice, because suffering is when I add my emotions to that pain. So how do I understand that this is pain is when I identify that as a situation that's not favorable to me, because the same situation could be favorable to someone else.
Very good point, Tani. Very good point. This discussion can go deeper because, when we defined who is perceiving and the perceptions that we experience in this world, the yoga explains about how the mind is the seat of perception. And so, yes, your point is very well received. I think I really like it. And I know our time is over, and I would love to hang out with you more and have these discussions. Perhaps, every week we could only get 1 hour. It's sad, but it's better than no time. So Vani and Ashishji, maybe we'll have more offline chats on this one because you two are such deep thinkers.
So
We would love to, Vedaji.
we only have questions in our minds,
Yes.
Vedaji.
We're full of questions,
Yes.
so just trying to think through.
Perfect. I love it. Love it. Okay. Someone's birthday we missed. Devi Radhika, any announcements? And we also had Angela. Angela, you're still here?
Yeah, there's after the beautiful retreat that you have planned with Angela in February, there's a smaller retreat in Connecticut. I think Neld put the excuse me, put the link up in the chat. It's the 14th, 15th, and 16th, a beautiful gathering based on relationships with Veda, and our Connecticut Sangha's hosting. All proceeds go directly to Food for Lives, which is a beautiful cause. And we'll spend some time discussing relationships with ourselves, with each other and others, and the relationship that we can foster with the divine. So it'll be an intimate gathering at Mercy by the Sea, beautiful location on the Connecticut shoreline. So if you have some time in February, tickets are discounted, a little holiday sale, whether you celebrate or not. There's a little discount there that we're running, and we'd love to see all of you beautiful souls.
I'm also just going to throw that in there because I haven't discussed with all of you, but I would love to incorporate some Ayurveda to that retreat, which means Ayurvedic essential oils absorbing through your skin, and also I just bought some oils to actually stimulate and ignite a rejuvenation for your third eye chakra, herbal, and we're gonna do it through the nose. We're gonna inhale that and let it do its thing, this herb energies. So there's gonna be some cool things. I haven't discussed with all the organizers yet, but I'm gonna throw that in there anyways because
Is that why everyone in the Connecticut Sangha is laughing right now? I think that would be wonderful. Some like opening and herbal remedies. I love Ayurveda. So we'll take Veda into Connecticut with Ayurveda. It'll be divine. I love
and
it.
we already have two masseuse there. We have Cynthia and we have Haripriya.
There you go.
All I have to do is bring those herbal oils and herbal tinctures to.
I say just click on the link, buy a ticket, and see what happens.
I just had a crazy experience. I just want to share that with all of you. It's crazy opening, so that's why I was thinking we got to do this. We got to take it to the next level.
It'll be filled with love no matter what. Come join us. Lisa's gonna be there. Bring a friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, beautiful souls. And love you all very much. Please have a wonderful night in Europe, wonderful day in the United States, and good night in India. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
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 Namaste.